So welcome to the podcast for the end of the second week of the semester for LATS 1898 and COM 1898. In this podcast, this is going to be a quick one. I don't have a whole lot to say because we plan to kind of finish off the discussion of hauling next week. So if you happen to miss class today, you should be sure to bring the hauling reading with you for class next Tuesday, and we'll continue our discussion. I think where next week really picks up. Next week really picks up on some issues that kind of loomed large in today's discussion about terminology. So in the readings for Tuesday, September 10th, by Gutierrez, What's in a Name, we get a nice kind of history of Hispanic and Latino as terms and how they've been used, how other terms have been used in the last century or more. And it kind of, I think, gives some useful historical context to the kinds of discussions that are happening today over terminology again, this time about the addition or replacement of letters to create the term Latinx or Latinx, depending on how you pronounce it. And I'll note I don't think there's a right way to pronounce it. I think either Latinx or Latinx seem to be acceptable and accepted by people. As you've heard in class, I say Latinx. My colleagues, some of them say Latinx, some go back and forth. So, don't have anxiety over that. The readings for Thursday, September 12th, really get us into these terminological debates, the contemporary terminological debates. So we start with a kind of classic by Susanna Oboler, Hispanics, that's what they call us. Then we do a recent short reading by Contreras, Chicana, Chicano, Chicanat, and Chicanx. That's an essay that examines the history of usage of these terms and the evolution of the term rooted in Chicano. And then we also have the introduction for Morales' book on Latinx. I think that introduction is a nice, useful, short reading that offers a bit more context and a bit about the significance of that term in our present historical moment. And then the kind of featured reading for the day is the Rodriguez X Marks the Spot. I think this is a really smart essay that examines the kind of emergence of the X in Latinx, and I think takes an important and tempered approach to the use of that term. And I think hopefully will provide some good material for discussion next week, because the term Latinx, it's not it's not a term that rolls off the tongue for a lot of people, although I think maybe for you it does, you as in you in the class, because it's a term that you've heard used more consistently today. But I think it's not a term that circulates a ton outside of academic settings, although maybe that's starting to change. And because of that, and because of the kind of history of its emergence, there's maybe good reason not to only use that term all the time. And maybe there's usefulness in preserving the kind of specificity that it marks in its period of historical emergence, which all probably sounds vague if you haven't done the Rodriguez reading, but will make a lot more sense once you do that Rodriguez reading. So that's what's happening next week. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them in the meantime.